Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
PCO Secretary Jay Ruiz is under fire for allegedly linking to a company that won a ₱1 million government contract. The PCO denies the report, calling it false and inaccurate.
COMELEC confirms 29 election-related incidents since October 2024. Most of the incidents were reported in BAR. Pope Francis is now stable but not out of the woods as he continues his battle with double pneumonia. Vatican officials urge continued prayers for his recovery.
An innovator has thought of a literal level-up method of firefighting. It's a drone that can fly a fire hose. Presidential Communications Office Secretary Jay Ruiz is already facing controversy just days into his appointment. Here's the report.
Presidential Communications Office Secretary Jay Ruiz confirmed the removal of PTV General Manager Toby Nebrida. According to Ruiz, PTV Chairman and former Transportation and Communications Secretary Oscar Orbos will temporarily lead the state-run network amid reported complaints from employees against Nebrida.
We're just preparing the papers, titignan namin yung legalities. Pero sa ngayon, pumayag na siya. Inaalam na lang, sabi lang niya, I won't stay there for long kasi medyo may edad na yung si former Secretary Oscar Orbos. Sabi niya, he'd rather want to stay as chairman instead.
Meanwhile, more reshuffling is expected following last week's deadline set by Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin for presidential appointees to submit their courtesy resignations. During a chance interview with the Malacanang Press Corps, Ruiz appeared to take a swipe at those he claimed were spreading intrigue, which he said was the reason behind the reorganization.
Walang personalan, kinakailangan natin gawin dahil kailangan niya ng pagbabago na hindi dapat kasi nangyayari kasi unang-una maraming leakages, maraming intriga. Dapat confidential lahat ng orders, lahat ng papeles dito, we treat it as confidential.
A Politico report alleged that Nebrida had threatened to expose active government contracts of a media company supposedly owned by Ruiz and former PTV General Manager Ana Puod. Nebrida has denied this claim. However, in a separate Politico article, a significant portion of the more than ₱200 million deal for the production and airing of the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office Lotto on Intercontinental Broadcasting Corporation or IBC-13, a media organization under the PCO, was highlighted. There was also an almost ₱28 million deal for the creation and placement of digital promo videos. The PCO labeled the Politico article as false, inaccurate, and misleading. The PCO also said that Ruiz does not own any shares in Digital 8 and was merely an authorized representative since he previously served as its head of sales and marketing. Ruiz had already stepped down from his position and was immediately replaced through a board resolution more than a month before his appointment to Malacanang. Hence, there was no conflict of interest, according to the PCO. Even IBC-13 pushed back against the issue. However, Palace press officer and Undersecretary Claire Castro received different information, stating that Ruiz is already set to divest from the media company.
Pagkakaalam ko ay in the process na po kasi piniprepare niya po yung kanyang mga papers regarding that. So wala naman po tayo nakikitang mali doon dahil kailangan din naman po niyang kumita. So ngayon po na kami po ay na-appoint, kailangan po talaga mag-divest kung ang interest po ay may conflict. So kailangan po talaga mag-divest.
Meanwhile, Senate President Cheese Escudero said the issue involving Ruiz might be tackled once he faces the Commission on Appointments. For News 5, Ria Fernandez, We Are One News.
Yun, so
Pumutok yan kahapon eh.
Sa media, 8, yung isang...
Digital 8.
Digital 8, siya, he was an employee.
Daw.
He was employee, head of sales and marketing.
But he founded it. Sabi, he's one of the founders.
Pero wala daw siyang shares or ano. Pero alam...
No, but he said
I know,
he is divesting
I'm saying based sa
shares.
report, wala daw siyang shares, nor is he an incorporator of the company.
Kung wala siyang share, bakit siya nagda-divest?
That's why nga I'm trying to bring that point here. Hindi mo pinapatapos
Go nga, go.
Bring out ko nga yung, I was going to present two sides. Sinasabi ng sa statement that he was not an incorporator nor had any shares in the company. But then again, yung statement naman when he assumed his position as the secretary, start to divest shares. So ano ba talaga yung, how many companies are we talking about? May nagsasabi that he found the company, pero alam naman natin, di ba sa SEC, it's so easy to put a company na wag mo ilalagay sarili mo sa incorporators. You could technically have somebody else on your behalf, tas may side agreement. Pero syempre, at the end of the day, sila nakakaalam niyan. We're not privy to any documents, or inside information.
Pero kung pagbabasihan naman yung batas natin, nakalagay naman dito, meron siyang 60 days upon appointment para mag-divest kung talagang siya ay
so technically, wala pa siyang ginagawang mali.
But he already resigned daw from that company January 17 since he learned about the appointment. So, parang yun yung according sa kanilang side. Of course, this news was released yesterday by a lot of people at saying isa daw to doon sa mga attack na gagawin nung dating general manager ng PTV4.
Yes,
si Nebrida.
Si Nebrida.
Yun yung sinasabi nila.
Dininay ni Nebrida. And then now the appointment of si Oscar Orbos. Si Orbos kasi was previously chairperson and still is part of the board of PTV4, but he was brought in as GM daw to fix some issues daw, sabi ni Secretary Ruiz, sa loob ng PTV because may mga hinaing o may mga sama ng loob daw madaming employees. So parang he's there to parang damage control or to smooth everything out, to settle things with them, and then parang magkakaroon ng another appointment kasi ayaw ni si former Secretary Orbos and General Manager Orbos magtagal. He's too old for that and he wants to resume his position as a chairperson ng PTV4.
So, hence yun yung mga nangyari ngayon.
Ang dami nangyayari
sa mga recent appointment ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. And yun nga, sinasabi, di ba the last time nagkaroon din ng issue, not so much naman yung pag-appoint niya kay DA Secretary.
Yes,
because he was part of a big company before. Pero sabi nga naman niya, umalis na daw siya doon. Di ba? So, yun, dapat talaga malinaw. Tingnan natin yung timeline ng pag-alis, yung pag-divest, o yung timeline nung pag-appoint dito sa mga officials na to. Dahil hindi po pwedeng magkakaroon na sila ay nakadikit pa rin sa isang private company while working in the government because that's conflict of interest.
Sabi nga nila, they want to take a look at yung ruling on how you divest. Kasi baka yung personal shares mo, nang divest ka. Pero kay nino ka nang divest ang tanong? Because baka naman you just gave control to a person na kakilala mo rin, we have an agreement with. So, in the future, we're not saying kanila mga sekretary ngayon gano'n but we're saying that people want to take a look at how you're supposed to divest or detach from conflict of interest sa government. Diba? Yung, for example, am I allowed to divest to my son?
Yeah.
Technically, if I do that and I'm in government, then may sway pa rin ako over decisions that would benefit the family. If it benefits the family, sabi nila, all in all, or your income, or your finances, then there's a conflict of interest.
Okay. Sige, ito naman, in other news, the Justice Department is set to review existing cyber libel and other cyber laws. Secretary Boying Remulla said this aims to bolster efforts against the spread of misinformation online. Remulla made the announcement in response to questions about potential legal action against those disseminating false information. He noted that there is no specific timeline for filing cases as each instance requires thorough evaluation. The DOJ chief also defended the review against criticisms of conflict of interest, insisting it does not target specific individuals or groups.
The Presidential Communications Office is pushing for the creation of a regulatory body to oversee social media and combat the spread of fake news. Palace Press Officer Under Secretary Claire Castro acknowledged the role of lawmakers in making this possible, emphasizing the negative impact of spreading baseless information. Currently, the House Tri-Committee is leading the investigation into fake news. Meanwhile, PCO Secretary Jay Ruiz stressed that bloggers and social media influencers must recognize their greater responsibility to the public.
Pag sumobra, lalo na yung threat na to national security. Lalo na yun, di ba? Magsasabi ka online na ganito, walang pasok. May pasok naman pala. Magsasabi ka, may bomba sa ganito, bobombahin na. Siyempre, paano mo hindi namang papilan yung mga ganyan? Yung nananakot, nagpapakalat na kasi naman. Pero may punto lang dito, kailangan, kung vlogger ka man, social media influencer ka man, tanggap ko rin dapat na may responsibility, a greater responsibility to the public.
And yung boundaries.
Diba? Siyempre,
Now, a recent study found that posts of most influential Instagram and TikTok accounts may be misleading. A study by the University of Sydney analyzed 982 social media posts from 2015 to 2024. Nearly 9 in 10 promoted the benefits of medical tests, while only around 14% mentioned potential risk. Around 4% downplayed potential drawbacks, while only 6% acknowledged the risk of overdiagnosis or overuse. The study examined content promoting 5 specific tests. These are full-body MRI, multi-cancer early detection test, hormone fertility test, gut microbiome analysis, and low testosterone blood tests.
Now let's get some insights from a medical expert.
Joining us today via Zoom, lifestyle medicine specialist Dr. Dex Macalintal. Thanks for joining us today. Good morning, Doc.
Hi, good morning, Angelo.
I'm sure you saw, Doc, yung report from the University of Sydney, no? Ano yung thoughts mo about that report?
Well, this study highlights a major concern in the digital age. This is health misinformation, or as we say, disinformation. Meron pa nga malinformation. Ang dami ng mga medical content kasi sa social media, but unfortunately, many posts focus only on benefits of a certain product or medical test without discussing their potential risks. This can lead to overdiagnosis, unnecessary treatments, and even anxiety for people who may not actually need these tests or products in the first place. So, kaya, yun.
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
No, ang sinasabi lang natin dito is that as doctors, personalized evidence-based medicine pa rin tayo.
Alam mo, Doc, kasi before yung pandemic, dito nagsimula karamihan yung mga content on social media, TikTok, of course si Doc Willie Ong was doon umusbong talaga din. But as a doctor, do you think that now that we're back to normal living, there should be some way of regulating kung paano kumukonsulta online?
Well, dapat naman talaga. So the Philippine Digital Medicine Society is also on this, no? Kinakailangan meron talagang regulatory diyan. At saka pagka sinasabi natin consultation online, meron naman tayong mga platforms na pwede talaga magkonsulta doon. At ito ay mga nakahipa accredited, pinoprotektahan yung data privacy. And of course, merong way ng tamang paggawa ng digital consultation.
Yung etong study na to dyan sa Sydney, Australia, no? Meron din ba, talamak din ba yan dito sa ating bansa? Nakaka-observe kayo ng ganyan, Doc?
Well, in some ways, yes. No, mas vulnerable pa nga tayo kasi alam naman natin that Filipinos are amongst the most active social media users in the world, spending over at least 3 hours a day. That's at least 3 hours a day online. Ang problema, marami mga health posts dito sa atin na for promotion lang, especially fad diets, unregulated supplements, and yun nga, minsan may mga miracle treatment na sa kasamaang palad, ginagamit din minsan yung mga mukha natin, ginagamit yung mukha ng ibang tao, sinasabi na okay lamang yon or yun na yung miracle treatment ninyo. So, hindi rin maganda at dito sa Pilipinas, mas marami pa nga yata ang mas vulnerable at mas naapekto ang mga Pilipino.
When do we draw the line, Doc Dex, between a simple, innocent promotion na hindi naman hard selling, between actually convincing somebody to buy a product na hindi naman niya kailangan, that can be very dangerous? Kasi may mga, for example, doctor ka, you're just talking about the benefits of a vitamin na alam mo, ganun ang benefits, versus talagang nagbibigay ka na ng, anti-cancer ito. Where do you draw the line?
Well, dyan papasok yung personalized medicine yan natin. Ang sinasabi dito, kinakailangan, nagkakaroon talaga dapat dyan ng information, and not only information on the product but also doon sa benefits and sa risk. So dyan papasok na hindi po pwede na sasabihin natin na this is cure all. Dyan papasok yung mga disclaimer, kinakailangan hindi ito para sa lahat. Kinakailangan magsabi tayo na hindi para sa lahat itong produkto na to o kung ano pa man, kinakailangan talaga ng konsulta dyan.
Oo.
Kasi wala naman talagang miracle pill.
True.
Kasi kung merong miracle pill at miracle treatment or miracle diagnosis, lahat na ng tao ginawa yan.
Ano ba yung ethics ng mga doktor pagdating sa pagpo-promote sa social media, no? Kasi I remember there was a hearing here last year, kasama yung mga doktor, and even
Oo,
sinasabi
about
nga nila
brands.
about brands,
Yeah,
and
about
pati
brands.
yung pagbibigay sa doktor ng mga libreng travel abroad for convention,
Dapat
etc.
generic lang, di ba?
Oo, ganun. So, can you enlighten us about it, Doc?
Sa aking pagkakaalam at sa aking experience sa social media, hindi kami po pwedeng magbanggit ng kahit na anong brand.
Okay.
Kasi this is potentially financial conflict of interest. So dito, ang maaari lamang natin gawin ay magsabi ng generics kasi meron din tayong Generics Act. At yung kung ano lamang yung laman, say for example, ng produkto, pwede mong i-review. Pero hindi pa pwede na makikita ka nakasakasama ng produkto. Halimbawa, ganito, hinawakan ko itong remote na to, hindi ito po pwede. Ganyan. Or kunyari, ito ay, kunyari gamot itong hawak kong ito, hindi po pwede nakasama ko siya sa mukha kong ganyan. So, hindi po pwedeng ganoon at hindi po pwede na sasabihin ko, oh, this is cure all, this is for everyone. It doesn't work that way. Kinakailangan din ito ay dumadaan sa ASC at sa PMA para malaman kung yung bang, say for example, if there is a promotion nga na gagawin, kinakailangan dumaan sa PMA, dumaan sa ASC para masabi na clear yung gagawin na storyboard, kumbaga,
Yes,
payment, sa atin kinakailangan may storyboard yan bago ka gumawa ng kahit na anong promotion, at yun nga, hindi talaga po pwede na magbanggit ka ng kahit na anong brand.
Doc, kasi minsan ang style pa ng ibang doctors, I don't know, kasi that's why I want to ask you, some are very careful about mentioning brands, but sometimes ang gagawin nila, meron silang specific brand na ini-endorse, pero ang ginagawa nila, naglalatag sila ng limang brand sa kanilang social media account at idadaan sa review. Siyempre, sasabihin nila, review naman wala akong pinopromote. Tapos, siyempre, yung brand na ini-endorse niya, nakakalamang sa review. How about pag ganun ang style ng content mo, is that allowed?
I don't think it is allowed kasi nga bawal nga magbanggit ng kahit na anong brand.
So, even in a form of a review, bawal?
Bawal din.
Okay,
Alam ko,
so
bawal
dapat,
din yan.
if I'll review vitamin C as a whole, I will review vitamin C, not the brand, but yung
Yes,
exact
the vitamin C.
Okay.
Oo. Yeah,
Say
kasi-
for example, the vitamin C with zinc para mga ganyan po pwede. Pero you're telling kasi you're telling kasi kung ano talaga yung laman. So
Okay.
yung laman yung gagamitin mo, hindi yung brand.
Okay.
Oh. Well, kasi alam naman natin in this digital era, we understand naman yung need to spread information.
Yes.
Pero, di ba yung important yung factual information pagdating na rin, of course, yung nangyari ng pandemic, di ba? Para mas maintindihan natin yung health sector. Pero yun
Yes.
nga meron bang parang regulator body sa inyo or regulation body, 'di ba, na kapag kayo ay nag-post ng something, dapat ito
Yes.
lang, 'di ba? Go ahead, Doc.
Yes, and dyan papasok yung Ad Standard Council at saka yung PMA. Kasi doctors who create content online should always follow these ethical guidelines. Number one rule, we must provide accurate and science-backed information. Hindi po pwede yung sinasabi nga natin na porke ito may lumapit na magpapapromote, ganyan, gagawin mo na agad. It doesn't work that way. Kailangan you cannot make any exaggerated claims, lalo na kung parang infomercial lang na palalabasin na ganyan. It doesn't work that way. Kinakailangan educative pa rin, kinakailangan informative pa rin, and to empower people really to make informed decisions about their health.
Pero Doc, how about, for example, kasi I've seen several doctors post online also about, they're posting about case in point immunotherapy, cancer drug. Pero ang form nila is they own a social media account, pero meron silang parang commissioned research paper, tapos yung research paper linabas nila online. Siyempre, cancer patients want to know which one is effective
Yes.
for them, which one is right for them, and may brands na mga na-mention. Pag ganun at wala naman specific endorsement, pwede yon.
Ang alam ko dyan kasi hindi siya tao. It is best na dumaan pa rin yan sa PMA, dumaan pa rin sa ASC. Kasi any promotion kinakailangan dumaan sa ASC.
So in other words, isasubmit, and if they want any relevant information, ipapublish na lang.
Yes, ganon. Kasi kinakailangan dumaan yan, lalo na kung gamot at pinapalabas na gamot. Kasi kung supplement yan, wala talaga po pwedeng sabihin na itong supplement na to nakakagamot to ng ganito, kasi it's not a supplement, it's a supplement, hindi siya gamot at hindi dapat gamitin gamot sa kahit na anong uri ng sakit.
Ayun. Kasi marami naman tayo natututunan din sa mga doktor online,
Yeah, oo,
di ba?
oo.
Yung mga
Laking bagay,
pinopost
malaking
nila
bagay.
about a certain certain disease
Yes,
na hindi
oo.
tayo familiar, or yung mga familiar tayo pero hindi natin alam talaga thoroughly,
Saka let's
di ba?
face it, Doc,
Thoroughly.
minsan mahal ang magpakonsulta. So malaking bagay yung mga info na binibigay ng mga doctors online.
Yes, definitely. Kasi nga isipin natin para siyang naggagawa ka ng public health lecture.
Yeah.
Imagine if you do a public health lecture, sometimes a hall can only accommodate 1,000 people, but on social media you can reach at least 50,000. Oh, minsan unlimited pa nga. You can reach 3 million in just a single post.
Sabi mo kanina meron naman na mga regulation body na po pwedeng tumingin dito. Pero meron na bang mga nasampulan before, Doc?
Oo naman.
To your knowledge
Meron
na, oy, teka muna,
Yes.
mali na itong ginagawa mo. Go ahead.
Yes, meron na. Lalo na nung pandemya. After the pandemic, dyan na nagdo-draw ng line na hindi po pwede talaga na mag-promote ang doktor ng gamot. No? So lalo na kasi since yun nga, kailangan lang, hindi po pwede, ang kailangan dyan ay, ang i-mention ninyo ay yung generic nung brand, no, kung magme-mention kayo. It's an ethical issue na matagal na talaga na naibigay eh. So you cannot hold it, you cannot hold it, you cannot hold the brand. You cannot say the brand name. Ang pwede mo lang talagang i-discuss diyan ay yung generic. At
Unless, Doc, you own the brand.
Resete. Sorry?
Unless you own the brand. Ikaw ang doctor,
maybe
nag-develop ka ng
unless
drug.
you own the
Pwede
brand.
yun, di ba?
Pwede ba
Pwede yun.
Yeah.
Oo.
Pwede yun.
Endorse mo sarili mong brand, of course.
Yes,
Pwede ba
kasi
yun?
sa'yo naman yun.
Oo,
Okay.
yan.
Alright,
So
siguro.
it's a gray area, no? Kung
Oo,
makikita
oo,
nyo, it's really a gray area kasi kung titingnan natin, why are these people, why are there people na pwede na mag-promote ng mga ganitong tests, mga ganitong mga brands, pero yung doktor hindi pa pwede kung sino pa man yung mas knowledgeable dun sa dun talaga sa 'di ba? Parang kaya medyo
Makes sense
it's really a
naman,
gray area.
Yeah.
Alright, on that note, maraming salamat sa iyong oras, Dr. Dex Macalintal.
Anytime.
Ayun. It's importante talaga, alam mo, dyan nagfo-fall yung yung fact-checking.
Yes.
'Di ba? Always na, minsan kasi may mga ibang mga social media post talaga na wala na, hindi talaga yun yung, ang goal nila is to mislead.
Sabi nga nila, just before we go quickly, to make sure, kunyari, you're looking about a supplement na dinidiscuss ng isang doktor, before you try and believe that kung ano yung pinag-uusapan niya, go to another doctor online daw, tignan mo kung pareho ang sinasabi. Pero kung magkaiba ang sinasabi daw ng doktor on one product, then you research further. O tanong ka sa ibang doktor, tumingin ka sa memes online,
Kasi
tumingin
mamaya
ka sa Google.
AI-generated din yung
Oo,
nakikita
pwede.
mo, di ba?
Mangyari na sa iyo
Dami
yan.
eh, oo. Alright.
Alright, coming up. Several local government units have announced a suspension of classes today due to the expected high heat index.
And Pope Francis suffered 2 episodes of acute respiratory insufficiency as he continues to battle double pneumonia. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. In weather, the easterlies affect most parts of the country. With this, scattered rains are expected over Bicol Region, Caraga, Quezon, as well as Marinduque, Romblon, Samar, Leyte, and Davao Oriental. Metro Manila may also experience isolated rains and thunderstorm. Despite that, some areas are expected to experience high heat index. Dagupan City, Iba, Subic, Calapan, Cotabato City may register 40 degrees Celsius and higher today.
Now, to talk more about class suspensions due to the high heat index, we have TDC NCR Teachers Union Vice President and Spokesperson Jim Lester Beleno.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Hello sir and ma'am, good morning po sa inyong lahat.
Ngayon, the TDC has called for a region-wide class suspension whenever Pag-asa po declares a certain dangerous heat warnings. Now, could you tell me more about this? Are you talking about automatic suspensions na ito?
To make it clear sir and ma'am, we cannot afford to lose classes because we all know that we do not have already buffer days for this school year. Kasi po may isang buwan na lang tayo para matapos itong school year. So maliwanag lang po na dapat maging handa sa mga alternative modalities. Kasi ginagawa naman, natuto naman na po tayo ng pandemic na kung masuspend man yung face-to-face, dapat may nakahandang other alternatives because we do not want to compromise naman po yung kalusugan ng mga bata, ganun na rin yung mga kaguruan po
Yun,
natin.
so para klaro, ang sinasabi lang dito is pag nagkaroon ng danger heat index, ang face-to-face classes ang masususpend pero itutuloy ito as synchronous or online.
Yes po sir, actually here in Manila, kung saan tayo nagtuturo ngayon, naka-suspend yung face-to-face po natin.
Yes.
Pero patuloy po yung modular learning, ibang school, private schools, meron naman silang synchronous or the online virtual learning po. So ang apela lang po natin, kung maaari magkaroon ng region-wide, katulad ng sinabi ninyo, magkasundo yung Metro Manila Council at yung counterpart dito sa DepEd NCR para magkaroon po ng standard scheme. Kasi maliwanag po sa Baguio, may batayan tayo sa mga wind signals.
Oo, yung mga-
Dito meron naman po tayong mga heat index at meron mga critical danger level. Dapat magkaroon din po ng definite kung ano yung gagawin natin pag pumalo ang ganitong mga yung temperatura natin po.
Oh, doon po sa nangyayari ngayon currently na may ibang mga nagsususpend ng classes or nag-revert to online classes pero yung mga teachers nasa on-site pa rin. Do you agree on that?
Dapat hindi po kasi lahat naman tayo nakakaranas nito. Dito sa Metro Manila po automatic kung walang klase, the teacher should not be compelled or obliged to go to school on site kasi
And
they
conduct
can
their
do
online classes there.
yes po, they can do their preparations naman at home. Kasi sabi nga ng mga eksperto natin, as much as possible, dapat manatiling indoors. Kung sa classroom naman po, particularly sa public schools, hindi naman po lahat ng classroom ay equipped, well ventilated, maganda yung airflow, kaya mahirap po talaga napapasukin pa itong mga bata, lalong-lalo na yung mga teachers din natin po.
Alam mo, for the longest time, bata pa ako, 80s pa, ganito na yung nagiging issue. Pag nagkakagulo, pag may bagyo, hindi mo alam sino mang sususpend ng LGU, di ba? Magsususpend ang isang city, yung kabilang city hindi. Pero taga-QC ka kunyari, pero yung San Juan di nag-suspend. So ano yung susundan mo? Ngayon, nagkaroon ng extreme temperatures, nagkakagulo na naman tayo. So what do you think na kailangan magawa para synchronized lahat? Kasi what happens, teacher, for example, mag-suspend sa QC dahil bumabaha, taga-QC ka, pero yung school mo nasa San Juan. So required ka pumasok.
Yes po. Kaya po kanina lang po or yesterday sumulat na po kami sa Metro Manila Council at ganun din sa DepEd NCR para kung umupo po kami magkaroon ng dialogue para ilatag kung ano yung mga pwedeng guidelines, mga flexibility measures na kung saan hindi naman maantala po yung ating education. Kasi sabi nga po natin malapit na din yung end ng school year at may buwan na lang pong tayong hinahabol. So, we cannot afford to lose classes po. So, kasi di din naman natin maiiwasin itong mga extreme weather condition,
Yes, oo.
dapat mag-isip po tayo ng mga alternative modalities po para kahit ganitong nararanasan natin, continue pa rin yung pag-aaral ng mga bata.
Ang Teachers Dignity Coalition po ba, sir, ano po yung stand nila pagdating dun po sa usapin na ibalik ba yung opening ng classes natin by June para April and May walang pasok yung mga estudyante or the other way around? Saan po ba ang stand ng Teachers Dignity Coalition doon?
Actually po, sa ilang mga taon nating pakikipag-usap sa kanila, actually po nasa transitory year po tayo.
Yes.
Kasi this incoming school year, talaga pong mag-uumpisa na ng June at mag-e-end po ng March. So, habang hindi po tayo nandun pa sa original na school calendar, talagang dapat po mag-upscale, mag-upgrade tayo ng mga learning modalities, mga alternatibo para hindi talaga maantala yung mga pag-aaral ng bata po.
Pero of course,
Wait lang, hold on.
sorry.
I just want a follow-up question. Ano po itong mga alternatibong modality, no? Kasi I know you will say yung mga online classes, pero a lot of students and teachers na nakakausap po natin, base po sa mga reports natin, talagang for them, ang online class ay talagang last resort na yan eh. Kasi nga nahihirapan sila dahil bilang isang teacher din, ang hirap din ng magklase ka ng online. Minsan, yung mga estudyante mo, wala silang internet. Or minsan, yung teacher mo din, wala ring internet. Your thoughts on that po?
Yes po. Actually, ma'am, yun yung problem, particularly in public schools. Yung mga private schools, okay naman na kasi handa na sila. May mga learning management system sila or tinatawag na LMS.
Yeah.
So, sa public school po, medyo mahirap pag online kasi considering the status of the student, maybe yung mga ibang teachers din. Kaya yung ginagawa po namin ngayon, modular, distance learn. Kaya nga mahalaga po yung 5-day, 3-day heat index kasi na-forecast na-anticipate na ng mga teacher kung ano yung mga necessary preparations na gagawin nila. So kung sakaling mag-modular, makapag-prepare na ng mga modules, maibigay na sa mga bata, at pagpasukan, ipapasa naman po ng mga bata at i-assess na lang yung mga ginawa po. Ganun naman po, pag nakat yung face-to-face classes, responsibilidad naman ng mga teacher na magkaroon ng make-up classes, remedial classes po.
Pag sa mga bagyo kasi tsaka ulan, it's hard to go around that because you really have to stay home. Pero dumagdag pa tong heat index tsaka yung yung suspension with that. Talagang regardless of season parang nawawalan talaga ang mga students ng mga days of learning. So, do you think at least man lang should we improve then infrastructure to accommodate kung nagkaroon ng heat index na napakagrabe, capable naman via ventilation or air conditioning system para hindi at least during hot season, dry season, hindi mawalan ng mga students ng learning days?
Yes po, yun din po yung mga hiling natin at wish natin, hope natin sa public schools na alam naman natin po mahal yung air condition system, pero kailangan na ngayon, lalong-lalo na sa pagbagong-bagong klima, well-ventilated classroom, ayun po yung kailangan mga infrastruktura. Kasi kahit sabihin nating may electric fan naman, pero mainit yung buga ng electric fan, yung struktura, dikit-dikit, mahirap din po. Kasi
That's right.
Quality education, bahagi po yan ng infrastructure, yung location ng mga classroom.
Alright, on that note, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. Sa TDC NCR Teachers Union Vice President and Spokesperson Jim Lester Beleno. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you po.
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
The number of confirmed election-related violent incidents has risen to 29. COMELEC Chairman George Garcia said the figure does not yet include recent incidents in Abra and Lumbaca, Unayan, Lanao del Sur. The majority of validated incidents have been reported in the Bangsamoro region. The PO body earlier said they may put more areas under red category due to cases in election or election-related violence. They are also set to deploy more uniformed personnel to ensure safe elections.
A majority of Filipino voters in the May 12 midterm elections favor candidates advocating for agriculture, food security, and healthcare, according to a social weather station survey commissioned by Stratbase. Conducted from February 15 to 19, the survey found 90% of respondents support candidates prioritizing agriculture and food security. Similarly, 90% back those strengthening the healthcare system. Job creation remains a priority, with 89% supporting candidates pushing for employment. Other key concerns include workers' rights and OFW welfare, poverty and hunger reduction, and controlling prices of basic goods. Yan, very basic
Totoo
yan.
yan.
Oo. Makikita mo dati kasi ang nagiging premise ng isang choice for a candidate nung mga 90s was ano stand mo politically? Ngayon nakikita mo na nakakaranas ng citizenry ng hirap sa buhay,
Yeah.
gutom sa tiyan.
Because ano ba yung
job
everyday
security.
na-
Ngayon, kita mo, little by little we're becoming issues-based, which
Exactly.
is good.
Oo, kasi 'di ba nakikita natin sa mga news natin dito lagi, 'di ba? Ano ba yung laging pinag-uusapan natin? Ang taas ng presyo, 'di ba? Inflation, taas ng kilo ng bigas, taas ng presyo ng krudo, ng petrolyo, 'di ba?
Yes,
Tapos
oo.
mababa ang sahod.
Oo.
And I wouldn't be surprised talaga kung ganito yung mangyayari ng mga survey na
Yes,
results.
oo,
Dahil
correct,
talaga
correct.
yan yung mga malapit sa tiyan, sa sikmura ng mga kababayan natin.
Job
ngayon.
security, di ba? Siyempre, madaming mga padre and madre de pamilya, kinakabahan. Pag nawalan ako ng trabaho, anong next job ko? Will I be able to get a job again?
Yes.
Paano ang finances ko?
Oo, di ba? So, yan talaga yung importante ngayon. Kaya yung mga kandidato ngayon, pag tinatanong mo sila, di ba, dapat, di ba, nag-interview tayo ngayon ng mga
Yes.
series of candidates.
candidates.
Di ba? At majority of them are senators, di ba? So, yan tinatanong natin, anong
Mga
batas?
national candidates.
Right,
oo.
'di ba? Paano niyo i-control yung prices ng commodities natin ngayon na talagang
Yeah.
soaring high, 'di ba? How are you going to ease 'di ba yung mga yung mga nararanasan ng mga kababayan natin. So it's very important talaga.
Parang sabi nila, everything is going up except salaries.
Oo.
Oo, so mga
Yan yung usapin din yan sa salary na yan, 'di ba? Marami tayong mga nakakausap. Ano ba kayo? Gusto niyo ba yung legislated hike or yung ano pa rin, yung regional ang tawag doon, yung regional.
regional,
'di ba?
parang dadaan sa regional wage board.
Yes,
O para
oo.
iti-tailor-made yung pagtaas. Siguro pwede tayo magkaroon ng legislated salary increase, basic lang, no, on the lower end. Tapos sa regional, i-adjust nila based sa kung saan kang region or anong province ka. Kasi may mga iba mas mahal, mga iba mas mura, di ba? Ewan
So, yan
ko. We have to have a balancing act, eh.
Oo.
Yeah.
Alright, okay, to talk more about this, we have Strat-based President Dindo Manhit joining us today via, ano ba, Zoom ba to o no? Okay, just online. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sir Dindo.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. It's Angela and Angelo, or Angelo.
Yes, I know. Actually, good morning.
Okay, so I'm assuming you heard about the recent survey that we mentioned po earlier. Ano po yung sa tingin niyo po, what do these priorities reveal about the current state of governance and of course yung public needs na mas mahalaga po sa kanilang usapin ng agrikultura, 'di ba? Food security, jobs, etc.
Yes, this in Stratbase we do this regular tracking of issues important, no, sa mamamayan, and in this case specifically to voters. It really reflects what are their concerns sa pang-araw-araw nilang kabuhayan, and it reflects also that really the prices of food, basic commodities, especially rice, has really affected the lives of our people. So they speak of food security.
Yes.
No? And critical to that is not really they want na itanim natin. Sa kanila is access. Kaya it's food security. No? Access at a more affordable price. No? And I tie it up also to the reality na ang isa rin lang hinihingi ay yung sana may mas maganda silang mga trabaho at magandang kita. So they're not asking for higher wages but the opportunity to work and find an income that can really support the needs of their family.
Yeah, based sa survey nyo, no, makikita natin a lot has to do with income, a lot has to do with access to food, job security. But what social classes do you see this na mas mataas yung ganitong mga needs?
When you look at national surveys to truly be reflective of the Filipino nation, majority of our people are what we call people in social class D. These are people living in relative poverty. That means they have regular income, but their income is not enough to deal with the realities of day-to-day living. No? Pagkain, maybe kalusugan, pag-aaral ng mga anak nila. So any increase on basic commodities, prices, tulad nga ng pagkain at bigas, baboy, manok, no? Talagang tinatamaan sila.
Oo. Actually, sir, hindi na po ito bago. Even nung last election, so 2022, it translated sa votes na yung pinangakong 20 pesos per kilo na bigas ay yun talaga yung inasahan nila.
yun nga, yun magandang halimbawa yun. No? So makita nating nagbigay suporta ito sa isang kandidato. Kasi nga, hinahanap. Of course, maaari naman hindi hinahanap ng tao yung exactly that price, pero sana malapit-lapit to that price. So it's good for government to realize also that may pagkukulang ang kanilang mga intervention sa social needs ng tao and do something about it.
Alright, hopefully we can still invite you po again. We don't have much time, but maraming salamat
Yes.
po sa inyong oras. Insights Chat-based President Dindo Manhid. Thank you so much.
Ngayon, kung gagawa pa ako ng complaint, siguro kagabi, dahil siguro emotional pa ako kagabi. Tsaka siyempre, nung nakatanggap ako ng tawag sa pamilya, medyo, alam mo yun, medyo pumunta rin yung dugo sa ulo ko eh. At least nung naitulog ko na, mas maganda yung ganitong direksyon. Ibalik natin po sa tamang direksyon.
Sir, how about public apology? Will you demand for that or at least take down po yung...
Nasa sa kanila na po yan. Or maybe at least ayusin yung storya. Now with my side, di ba? Na at least pasagutin naman nila ako. I think karapatan naman eh ng bawat isa yung ganyan. Fair, balance. Ivan, you?
Tech.
Oh,
Asigdale. Sorry. Sorry.
so what's next? Ganun. Sige, partner.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Tech, baka isang pahabol
Sige,
lang.
partner. Oh.
You vehemently deny ownership sa Digital 8. So who owns Digital 8 for the record?
For the record, it's owned. Well, I don't know if he wants to be dragged in this thing, in this issue, no. But you can check naman kung sino ang sa SEC, kung sino ang may-ari ng Digital 8.
Is it someone, a former police officer na involved sa isang serious crime?
Again, check na lang po kung sino po yung may-ari ng SEC.
One final point, lahat ho ba ito na i-declare nyo sa Pangulo? And moving forward, do you intend to perhaps to preempt further attacks on your reputation and your credibility, perhaps divest in all your other business interests para hindi na ho maulit ito?
Unang-una, wala nga akong i-divest, diba, doon sa Digital 8 dahil hindi nga akin yan eh.
The other business.
The others, it's ongoing. Yun nga yung hindi naging klaro, di ba? I'm going to divest in my other company na may possible lang, pero wala naman din conflict of interest. Kasi, unang-una, restaurant, di ba? Yung isa, leasing company. So I don't see any.
The art gallery.
The art gallery also it's not it's a promotion of Filipino art and culture. Di ba?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much.
J. Ruiz.
Any questions you want further expound on, just call me. Pero syempre, please also understand that I have a job to do also. Marami pong gagawin eh. Maraming kailangan ayusin. Thank you very much, guys. Till next time.
Yeah, welcome back. You're still watching us, News and Views on the One News. And as we said kanina, yung Digital 8 hindi talaga kay Secretary Ruiz.
For those who
ano
just
lang daw
tuned
siya,
in,
employee.
you
But
just
he will
would-
diverse in his restaurant and other businesses.
Yeah.
That was his live presser, as you were saying, sorry.
Oh.
Live presser, J. Ruiz, Secretary J. Ano ko ako pati.
All right. Okay, in other news, Pope Francis suffered 2 episodes of acute respiratory insufficiency, the Vatican said. Here's a report.
A day after removing his ventilator and after several days of improvement in his condition, Pope Francis' health declined yet again. In a late-night Monday bulletin, the Vatican said that the Pope experienced 2 acute respiratory failure incidents yesterday morning. The first was endobronchial mucus, or the buildup and thickening of phlegm in the lungs. This is a result of his body's continued fight against bacteria. And according to lifestyle medicine Dr. Dex Macalintal, Pope Francis is going through a lot.
Acute respiratory failure kasi, nangyayari yan kapag hindi nagagawa ng lungs natin yung kanyang trabaho, which is to release enough oxygen into the blood. So, hindi nagkakaroon ng tamang gas exchange. At ito ay dulot maaari, gawa nga po noong pagkakaroon ng mucus, pagkakaroon ng pagbabara doon sa daanan ng hangin.
The Pope also experienced bronchospasm or severe shortness of breath that resembles an asthma attack. Thus, the Pope had to undergo bronchoscopies twice, a procedure to examine his air passages.
Mahirap to kasi isipin mo, magpapasok ka pa rin ng tubo para matanggal yung mga aspirates. Kasi kapag hindi tinanggal yun, pwede siya na bumara. Yun nga yung nagkukos ng bronchospasm, yun yung nagkukos ng acute respiratory failure. So kung hindi matatanggal yun, problema siya. So mahirap yung pinagdadaanan. Kung ako yung Santo Papa, wala ako sa kalagayan niya ngayon, pero mahirap, masakit, no? Yung mararamdaman, very, very uncomfortable.
Despite this, the Vatican stated that Pope Francis remained alert, oriented, and cooperative. However, they have not ruled out the possibility that his condition could worsen. According to a report by Reuters, a Vatican official said that Pope Francis's blood test results remained stable.
From Feb 14 to today, nakakita tayo ng hopes na magkaroon ng improvement, pero nakakita din tayo ng hopes na medyo nagkakaroon tayo ng setback. So, ako bilang doktor, I will still remain very, very vigilant sa nangyayari sa Santo Papa. At walang room para maging relax masyado o maging chill, kumbaga. Toxic case pa rin po ito, kaya kinakailangan bantayang maigi ang Santo Papa.
Outside Gemelli Hospital, letters, candles, and artworks from children can be seen, hoping these will help improve Pope Francis' condition. People we spoke to in Rome say this proves Pope Francis' closeness to Catholics, particularly the youth. Last night, we also joined the Filipino community in Rome, where we prayed the rosary together and hoped for Pope Francis' full recovery.
Philippine Ambassador to the U.S., Jose Manuel Romualdez, is confident that two countries' military ties would remain strong. Romualdez said he believes that Washington's backing in the disputed waterway and military assistance would continue. Recall that the Trump administration has decided to unfreeze its military aid to the Philippines. On the Ukraine-Russia war, the envoy said the hope was for a just and long-lasting peace. Recall that Trump berated Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the White House, heightening fears that he intends to force Kyiv into a peace deal that favors Russia. Days after that, and just hours ago, Trump paused military aid to Ukraine until he determines that Kyiv demonstrates a commitment to peace negotiations.
Now, fire incidents erupted in several areas on Monday. In Sitio Masagana in Muntinlupa, one person died, while around 50 families were affected following a fire incident. In Barangay UP campus in Quezon City, it took 7 hours before the fire was declared under control. In Cebu City, more than 100 houses in a coastal area were ravaged by a fire, resulting in 1.5 million damage.
An innovator has developed a drone that can fly a firefighter's hose. Mobile Journal Merimon Reyes has the report.
Ngayong Fire Prevention Month, bukod sa pag-iwas sa sunog, ay pinaghahandaan din ang fire response drills. Pero may isang imbensyon pa tayong natuklasan na sinasabing makatutulong sa pag-apula ng apoy.
Nasabay ng mainit na panahon ang tumataas na posibilidad ng sunog. Ito ang dahilan. Kaya naisipan ng innovator na si Ernest Mendiola na gamitin ang kanyang kaalaman sa mga heavy lift drones at technology para mabuo ang Bombero drone. Isa itong multipurpose drone na kayang bumuhat ng aabot ng 80 kilo cargos. Na ikakabit dito ang water hose ng fire trucks para maiangat at maibuga ang tubig sa mas mataas na vantage points. Isang assistance kasabay ng pagsagawa ng fire response ng mga bumbero na nasa field.
What the drone is just doing is it's lifting the hose up. It flies like a regular drone. It holds its position using a GPS and it holds its altitude. So kahit na hindi ka pumasok, pwede mong tirahin yung apoy galing sa taas pababa. Mababawasan yung risk sa mga firefighters natin na kailangan sumiksik sa loob ng mga delikadong lugar.
Cost-effective daw ito dahil hindi na kailangan padaanin pa sa loob ng mga bahay o kalye ang hose. Ang kailangan lang din investan ay ang baterya nito na nasa 15 minutes ang battery life kada flight. Kaya nitong lumipad up to 200 feet pataas at walang problema ang water pressure dahil heavy duty ang material at programming nito. Kahit pa ang pagbitbit sa halos 100 meter na hose at kilo-kilong rescue o aid supplies, yakang-yaka. Ongoing na rin ang development at demo testing nila ng bombero drone kasama ang Bureau of Fire Protection at iba pang mga ahensya. Inaaral na rin nila sa ngayon ang customization options ng bombero drone at ang posibilidad na gamitin ito para makapag-rescue ng tao. Tulad ng nilikha ni Ernest na hoverboard na kayang magbuhat ng tao. Hindi naman daw kasi biro ang sakripisyo ng firefighters. Kaya sana raw ay mapalawig pa nila ang industriya ng disaster response innovations.
Hopefully nga na in our way makatulong kami na to keep them safe, mapagaan din yung trabaho nila. Yun naman ang goal namin. And makilala din yung Philippines na hindi tayo napag-iiwanan when it comes to this type of technology.
Marami nang kayang gawin sa tulong ng teknolohiya, kaya gamitin naman natin ito para makatulong sa marami. Mobile journalist Marymon Reyes po, hatid ang mukha ng balita.
Ang galing ng
Ganda
Pinay.
yun, ah.
Ganda yan, maganda
Kasi
yan.
may mga areas na nasusunog, yung mga eskinita, yung mahirap akyatan
Yes.
or
Di
too
ma-access.
dangerous for the firefighter
Yes.
themselves, okay yung gamitin.
Sana may funding tayo for more inventions like this para that can help society. At saka hindi i-buy out ng malalaking korporasyon para i-claim nila as theirs. Maganda yan, maganda yan. Alright, well, before we leave you today, I'd like to share with you a quote that hopefully will make your day a little better. Now, our prime purpose in this life is to help others. And if you can't help them, at least don't hurt them. A quote from the Dalai Lama. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.